Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. I am the magnet. You are the steel. Tori's sitting here reliving the old days.
You know what other group that this guy played for and what other hit they had, don't you?
I'm trying to think. Does he sound like this? Does he sound like this singer?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, I probably don't know then.
Steelers Will. Stuck in the middle with you. Yes, he was the second part of Steelers Will.
Huh.
Thank you. My wife told me that.
Oh, I was going to think you had that kind of knowledge.
I do. I do possess it now.
Yes, she has imparted the knowledge to you.
She imparted the knowledge to me. It's just
and then you imparted the knowledge to me.
Yes.
And all of our listeners. So, and they're all the better for it.
Well, my wife and I, every time we sit around and listen to anything, it's always a trivia quiz, and we quiz each other and try to stump each other. So it's all music.
Who wins the majority of that? I think you.
Straight down the middle, really.
Really?
Yeah, she's as good as I am as far as knowing useless rock trivia.
You haven't worked in this.
Yeah.
You should know more.
Well.
You're letting down the guys, Tori.
I didn't say she knew more. She
here we go.
Down the middle, you see, because she's listening probably.
Yeah, I was going to say she's going to be calling here shortly. Yeah. And she won't want to talk to me. She'll just say, put Tori on the phone. All right.
No.
She's a nice woman. I met her. I was at your wedding.
Yeah.
So.
You was one of 7 people, I think.
Yeah, well, the cops were there and everything, you know. So
he was in the middle of Market Square on the stage.
Yeah, it was nice. I liked it. It was nice.
It lasted all of 30 seconds.
But you know, I hated to see another soldier fall. That's the thing.
I know it's my third call to duty. So
your third tour.
Third tour.
See, I think I'm in. I guess
I'm not coming back from this one.
I'm in the reserve here. I've not been called up yet, and I've just been avoiding that too. I don't even want to go down that trail.
Well, you did register for the draft, though, right?
I don't know what that would be. Turning 18 or something, or what that equivalent would be. I don't even think I'd register because I don't want some woman coming along and dragging me down an aisle.
I don't know where we're going with this.
Yes. It's going towards getting phone calls from very mad women. So you don't have to drag it. It's just a guy dragging the woman down the aisle. Anyway, I'll get to foreign policy. That's a good, safe subject for me. Segue into foreign policy. Yes. Well, the segue would be marriage is a foreign country to me. That would be the segue into foreign policy. Yeah. All right. Anyway, today I was reading, not to hammer Afghanistan over and over again, but a story ran today in the Associated Press, and I think the local paper here in Knoxville had featured as well. What it was talking about is we're beginning the 12th year of the war in Afghanistan. 12 years. Here's how the story started. As the Afghan war began its 12th year on Sunday, fears loom that the country will again fracture along ethnic lines once international combat forces leave by the end of 2014. So, okay, let's probably go back to how these people have been acting for thousands of years, right? Anyway, it goes on. Rival factions who had joined forces against Soviet fighters before they left in early 1989 turned their guns on each other, leading to tens of thousands of civilians being killed. Fed up with the bloodletting, the Afghan people longed for someone, anyone, who would restore peace and order. The Taliban did so. What happened is a group of people got together, a group of Afghans, armed themselves, and essentially took over the country. Pretty much what happens in any country at some point or another. I'm not saying it always works out for the best, but look at history. This is how these things occur. Nothing new here. But once in power, They imposed harsh Islamic laws that repressed women, and they publicly executed, stoned, and lashed people for alleged crimes and sexual misconduct. So, if this was happening, and I'm not saying it wasn't, and the people didn't agree with it, and I'm not saying they did or didn't, then why didn't they rise up and overthrow the Taliban? The Taliban aren't mystical people from some foreign country or out of space with magical powers. They are Afghans. They got together and took over the country. The same could have been done by another group of the population of that country. There wasn't anything special about these people called the Taliban. They all got together, decided what they wanted to do, and did it. The Afghan people already view their government as, this is from the story more, as weak and corrupt, and those doubtful of a peaceful future say that if the upcoming presidential election is rigged and yields an illegitimate leader, or it is rigged and will yield an illegitimate leader, something that kind of sounds like the same thing in this country. And if it's happening in this country, I sure hope someone comes along and interferes in our domestic affairs before something bad happens. I'm sure our government would welcome that with open arms. Further in the story, coalition officials claim they have battered the Taliban, and that while they are capable of staging suicide bombings and insider attacks, the insurgents cannot defeat the Afghan forces on the battlefield. They contend that keeping up the pressure on insurgents will push Taliban leaders to the negotiating table. Yeah, sure, that'll work. Just like it worked with all the other terrorists we have dealt with. They have all eventually come to their senses and negotiated and upheld peace accords with us and our nations, right? I remember them doing that. I remember them getting in line to do that. Also in the story, the international community's pledged to bankroll the Afghan army and police force in coming years will support the Afghan government as it works to provide better governance. In plain English, we are going to continue bribing the Afghan army and police forces for the foreseeable future. And since they don't really believe in what we're asking them to do, nothing is going to change, except we go further and further into debt, throwing good money after bad. So what is the solution to this predicament? In situations like this one, there really doesn't seem to be a good, clear-cut answer. But I do know that spending all of our taxpayers' money and sacrificing Americans' lives while we sit over there trying to find out what they need to do is not the way to solve the problem. Let them spend Afghan time and Afghan efforts and money and lives trying to find the answer to their country's problems. It is none of our business. We don't need to be poking around in these other countries trying to so-called help them decide their future. Let them make the decisions. Decide what they want to do and how they want to proceed. When they get all of that squared away, then we'll send an ambassador to talk with whoever ends up in charge. And if things fall apart, then we recall our ambassador until they get everything sorted out again. It's simple and keeps us out of their internal affairs, something we should be doing anyway. Now, this is kind of why I've not talked about these debates and everything, because when you get right down to it, Mitt Romney supports all this intervention as well. He's not come out against this and said that it's something that he's against. He pretty much agrees with Obama on this. And I don't think, we're coming up on the next break here, so I'll get to this other story real quick. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, this is something good you'll like. The American women are marching in tribal Pakistan saying Obama's worse than Bush. Basically what this is the Code Pink crew are over in Pakistan for a march from Islamabad to the country's tumultuous tribal belt to protest American drone strikes that reportedly kill civilians along with their terrorist targets. Now, one of the representatives said in an email that Obama is worse than Bush in some respects. He uses drones significantly more than Bush ever did, allowing him to carry out covert wars all over the world with zero accountability to Congress or the American public. I'm kind of agreeing with the Code Pink person, which is very, very rare. Anyway, ahead of the protest march, the Associated Press notes the local press is buzzing with news of possible suicide attacks against the activists. The AP notes that a Pakistani Taliban spokesman denounced the march, saying, "We don't need any sympathy from secular and liberal protesters." So, anyway, we're up on the last segment of the Patrick Riggins. So, last break before the last segment. We'll come back after these messages and get to this Andrew Napolitano column. I think you'll really enjoy it. It has a lot to say in it. This is Patrick Riggins, along with Tori spinning the bumper music. We'll be back after a couple of minutes.